Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, yWhales, wherever in the world you are today. So it is September 6th. Bitcoin has decided to drop down under 20K. It's currently in the 18,000-ish range. Lots of FUD in the air, lots of crazy things going on. And so I always like to just start with that perspective. The crypto market is healthy, depending on where you kind of really feel about it. It's moving down as a direction, and that's movement. But overall, I think we're dealing with a lot of regulatory issues and a lot of just uncertainty heading into the political season here in the United States. And so that's a lot of the uncertainty about where is crypto going to be regulated and by which party is going to have control of kind of the house. So I think there's a lot of kind of outside of our controls. It's out of the technology perspective. Seems like Ethereum merge is moving along right on the latest schedule that they provided, and everything technically seems sound. Whether PR wise, Ethereum kind of has their ducks in a row. That's a different choice, but for the most part, really, it's what I continue to say, and we've explored over the last few months here, as since the Terra Luna and following crash thereafter, is the teams of which that have been building continue to focus in a lot more deep inside of their industry. The next bull run will happen. It's crypto's not going away. Blockchain technology is evolving actually extremely rapidly compared to Web 1 and Web 2. So the idea and concepts of which that were sound in the last bull run are now being reflushed, built out, and being prepped for the next time of which we're going to see this. And my guest today is a fabulous YPO member and YWhale member, Daniel Jacobs, with ThriveCoin. So, but before Daniel, we jump into what you're working on today, where did you come from? And you've been a long time tech entrepreneur.
Cool. So first, today I'm in Boulder, Colorado. And maybe I'll give a little bit of my personal background in a general sense first, and then I'll get to a little bit of my crypto background as well. So I have been really excited about a concept that when I was younger, I called a contribution economy, essentially my entire life, my entire adult life. And a contribution economy is a world in which when you create value, what you get in return is something more intrinsically meaningful and extrinsically valuable than a dollar. And I have experimented with building businesses that created different forms of contribution economies. One of those businesses was in the philanthropic world. The other was in the culture space. One of those businesses was a B2C business. The other, which was in the culture space, was B2B. So our clients were like Google or Citibank or KPMG, organizations like that. And sold the second business about 18 months ago, took a step back, looked at the blockchain, looked at DeFi, looked at smart contracts, and went, oh my gosh, some of the core concepts that I've been working on in other industries for over 15 years, leveraging the blockchain can potentially do so much more. And that's what inspired me to jump in with my feet, my arms, my head, my heart, essentially everything. So that's a little bit of my business background. I also have a kind of strange background in crypto as well. So back in 2013 and 2014, I got into Bitcoin, and I was sort of blown away by the white paper of Satoshi and the potential of the blockchain, even before things like smart contracts or DeFi existed. And I did an anonymous project where I essentially replicated the red paperclip guy who bartered a red paperclip until he got to a house. For me, I started with a coin that I etched the Bitcoin logo into it, and then bartered and bartered and bartered until eventually I sold, at the time, the world's most expensive piece of crypto art. And unfortunately, that was not the Beeple $66 million piece of art, but nonetheless, it was a pretty fun project, and it really had me understand not just sort of the imaginative potential of crypto, but how that imagination could, in fact, transfer over to transactions that happen across continents, across global divides.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2013, 2014. I mean, you were early. I mean, you were right there. Bitcoin was past the days of like, this is a test, but it had no intrinsic value. I mean, I don't know how much drugs you were buying on Silk Road, but that was generally the 90%, 95% of the use cases back then. So to hear that you escaped the the drug laden past of crypto, and really saw the evolution of it coming forward is I always love seeing that. I was 2010, but I don't consider myself an OG because I threw them away. I'm like, oh, these are great. This is cool. But to, kind of see those core concepts, flow through is always awesome to see.
Yeah, no drugs on Silk Road, but I did see a lot. I was on Mount Gox when Mount Gox was hacked and essentially shut down overnight. Went from Mount Gox to Mount Gox, by the way, was the first significant crypto exchange back in 2013 and 2014. Crazy story about how it was hacked. That's for another day. Moved from Mt. Gox to Cryptsy, which also was hacked and went under. I also, the way that Dogecoin got started up was in Reddit forums, it was used as essentially a thank you. So it was used to say, hey, great comments, or, I'm really inspired by the thing that you wrote or posted, and people would transact tons and tons and tons of these Dogecoin through a simple program that the person on the Dogecoin subreddit put together. And long story short, that guy actually stole all of the Dogecoin that was in the wallets that people had and were being transacted. So these were like, you think like 2013, 2014, 2015, not so long ago. As it relates to crypto, it was very, very, very much the Wild West. And hopefully people didn't invest their life savings at that point because it was a difficult time.
Yeah, I mean, it's things are evolving, and nowadays it's not the exchanges so much getting hacked; it's the bridges and the DeFi protocols getting hacked. Right. The crypto exchanges, they shut themselves down with some bad business practices, which we can discuss on another day. But let's pivot over and talk about what you've been building, because I think that the core concept is exactly as you said. Reddit has a bunch of invisible internet points, which is great for your status, on Reddit, but nothing translates there, and so there's all this energy that people put into their thoughts, into their kind of, extruding their lives through social media and a variety of other metrics around the world every single day that is never recognized past a cursory glance in some cases, or a quick little thumbs up or an upvote. But ThriveCoin, you've kind of been thinking about this for a while, so I'll let you kind of run through where the concept came from and where you'd like to see it go. And I know you've got a deck you'd like to show as well.
Yeah, I'll kind of walk through a little deck with you in a second. But, one thing I want to just say as a preface is that the really wonderful people beyond me, that what we're doing is like really cutting edge stuff. And it wouldn't be possible without a group of people who know what they're doing in a way that maybe isn't so typical in crypto. I got really lucky because the VP of engineering in my last organization had been a CTO at a pretty big stablecoin, which was not Terra Luna. And, one of his closest friends had been a leader at Bitfinex, which is one of the top exchanges in the world. And, before I knew it, we had brought on the head of community of crypto.com, and, we're working with the head of BD of Horizon Labs, and which is, in the DAO and NFT space, one of the top organizations. And we got very lucky because we had a group of people who saw things and imagined into things and could build things that are needed in crypto and that haven't been possible until, this crazy group of people got together and said, what if? So, as I show you this, I just want to be super clear. This is the product of just absolutely fantastic human beings. And also people who have imagined into some stuff that is pretty cool. I'm going to try to share my screen right now. Let's see if I can make this happen. Share, Chrome tab, ThriveCoin and Missionaries NFT. Okay, can you see my screen?
It's loading right now.
Okay.
It's thinking. There we go. You're on.
Great. Perfect. So, our vision is very much my personal vision. It's a problem that I've been working on with a wonderful group of people for the last 15 years. We believe in a world where it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you create value for your community or for your communities, you should get thanked for the value that you create. And the way that we define thanking is rewarding people and recognizing people. And the problem is that in crypto communities today, it's hard for people to do things for their communities that are worthy of thanking because they don't know what to do. They don't know how they can help. Communities often are decentralized and distributed. There's no leader telling you what to do. For the decentralized or distributed leaders in these communities, leaders, I said that in quotes, it's really hard for them to thank people when they actually do things because they don't even know that stuff has been done. People are doing things on Twitter or Snapshot or Discourse or Discord or Zoom, and it's hard to track it all. And because contributions are being made to communities across all kinds of different platforms, it's hard for any of the leaders in communities to actually learn from any of it, to get data that tells them something, that helps them to improve their communities. And, the last part is, it's just a reality of the moment in time. Now that I think crypto winter has officially set in, people aren't making money hand over fist just because, like they were maybe 6 months ago. And the impact of that is that all of these communities that had these wonderful ideas and these wonderful visions, wonderful art, wonderful financial understanding, they are having a difficult time keeping people there because it's just not as fun as it was when everything was rosy and we were at the beach in the summer. And the way that we think about addressing this is really simple. We're going to address it all. So what ThriveCoin ultimately does is we make it easy for anybody in communities to see all the ways that they can contribute to their communities. Make it easy for leaders in communities to thank all those contributions. We make it easy for everyone in crypto communities to learn from what's going on and to be able to support their communities in improving. And we also are making it kind of fun, kind of meaningful, and even we believe it'll be pretty historical. And we'll kind of walk through how we do it. There are really three major innovations that ThriveCoin has created. The fourth piece there is fun, which is nice, maybe not a technical innovation, but still important. So the first major innovation is that we have figured out a way to auto-validate contributions that people make to their communities across platforms. So what that means is if you follow somebody on Twitter or tweet at them, we can see that and auto-validate that occurred. If you post art in a channel in Discord, we can see that and auto-validate that occurred. If you vote on Snapshot, if you contribute to a forum on Discourse, if you attend an event on Zoom or frankly in person, we can actually auto-validate all of that and immediately not just know that it occurred, but demonstrate that it occurred. And that leads to our second kind of major innovation. Because we can auto-validate that people are contributing to their communities, we can actually auto-reward all of those contributions. And we can reward them in two ways. We can reward them with ThriveCoin, which is our native currency, or we can reward them with the native currency of any community that we're supportive. And in addition to that, we can recognize people too. So we actually create an on-chain thank you note that thanks someone for the contribution that they made, that timestamps the contribution, that says the amount of crypto that they were rewarded for that contribution, and so on and so forth. And the impact of being able to make it easy for people to make contributions and easy for leaders to thank contributions and record everything on chain is that we make it easy for the first time, we think, for crypto communities to really learn from what's going on, because we are taking all the data from what people are doing on Discord and Discourse and Snapshot and Twitter and Zoom and GitHub and so on, and bringing it into one place. And so we can analyze that data, and we can offer and provide insights to community members about how together they can grow and improve. And the final piece, which I'll show you, and I don't even know how much of this you know about yet, is that we're also telling this pretty fun, pretty epic story about the work that we're doing in the world. And I'll show that to you in just a second. So
I love it. So let's before you run away from the slide, because there's a lot here, and I want to go through it. So you can jump in for 1 second.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because to me, you've captured in this kind of context a lot of what Web3 is supposed to be. It's supposed to be this on-chain ability to have ownership and identity in a blend of which, truly is unique, that can't be solved anywhere else. And so the point that I'd like to, really highlight here and talk about with you is, generally I get pitched a lot of projects, dozens a week, constantly lots of things happening. And the first thing I always say is, let's just remove all the Web3 components, and what do we actually have? And 90% of the time they're making it complex for the sake of it being complex. That it's Web3 because it's Web3, and there's, we could do this in Amazon Azure, but we don't like Amazon S3 or whatever the case is. But some of the things you're talking about here cannot be done any other way. You're never going to get all the APIs that you would need from a Web 2 perspective to be able to do this, especially when you're talking about cross-platform and auto-validating across all the ways. You have to have blockchain. Like, you have to have that open consensus that you guys are doing to make these things happen. And so I fully agree with you from a community standpoint, everything you're visualizing and doing here. And I have to say that there is no choice to do this with a Web 2 perspective. It would have to be done Web 3. So I'm really excited to continue on with this, but I feel like you deserve a little bit of call out here for actually using Web 3 appropriately.
I appreciate it. I mean, the reality is that, even when you look at, let's say a Snapshot, which is the application that is used for voting in Web3, there is the belief that all of those votes are recorded on chain. That's actually not true. So what's really interesting about lots of Web3 is you think, at least from afar, that it's leveraging Web3 stuff, but much or most of it is not. And the reality is that once you get things on chain, there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with it, right? Once you leverage a token economy, there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with it. The problem is that people don't necessarily know how to do it, and they don't know how to do it in a way that is easy and accessible for most people. And I think that's sort of the second part, which is it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to make it easy for people to make contributions to their communities. It's another thing to make it really easy. And, we think we've done that. This is a slide, but I can show you like what it looks like in real life. Here's how easy it is. People go to a community page and they see all the ways they can contribute to their community across different platforms. They connect their wallet. They authenticate if they need to any of those platforms, like authenticate their Twitter address or Discord. And then they're automatically rewarded for all the contributions that they've made previously. And going forward, they're auto-rewarded because, of course, those contributions are being auto-validated. So that's it. They see contributions, they connect their wallet, they authenticate if needed. And going forward, they are auto-rewarded for everything that they end up doing. Similar with thanking contributions, right? So the problem historically has been that community leaders haven't been able to thank what people are doing because they don't know they're doing it. And if they do know, they can't auto-thank them anyway. We make it really easy for any community to thank at scale because they don't have to do anything because contributions are auto-validated, and then the rewards are auto-distributed. And then contributions are recognized with an on-chain thank you note that's auto-propagated, auto-created. So thanking contributions for communities couldn't get any easier.
Yeah, and that's a big note. For anyone that hasn't that likes to think running a community is easy, and I've got probably one of the smaller communities out there. yWhales is 1,300 members. We're a little different. It's quality over quantity for us, but
Right.
but it still takes. We have today we have a crew of 4 people. That's what they do. That's their daily job. We've got 12 moderators that you're kind of going through and sorting through things. And you're right. It's impossible even with that amount of crew and that amount of staff and that small of a community to be able to do what you're doing here today without having to spend running through your TPS reports like it's a normal job.
Totally. And it's impossible to scale. And,
Yeah.
yWhales will continue to grow and grow and grow. And, what does it mean to honor everybody who's a part of yWhales, regardless of how big you are? It's easy to thank people, right, when they're sitting around a dinner table. It's not that, unfortunately, it doesn't happen in every family, but it should.
Absolutely.
It gets harder and harder as that dinner table gets bigger and gets replaced with conference halls, and that gets replaced with little towns and then cities, and ultimately that's what many communities, if not most, are trying to do. They're trying to grow, right? So again, because we're able to make it easy for people to see all the contributions they can make, and because they're auto thanked, auto recorded with a receipt on chain, the data that we collect is a set of data that frankly communities have never been able to see before. So people can see all the contributions in one place that they've made across communities. Communities can see all the contributions that their community members have made. And then we can derive and generate insights about what's really going on. And this has been extraordinarily meaningful for us to do, because the communities that we talk to and that we're partnering with, they haven't known what's going on in their communities. And to know for the first time is a really empowering thing. By the way, this is what it kind of looks like. This is an example of a communities page. I'm going to introduce the missionaries in a second.
Awesome.
But you can see these are a whole host of different contribution types. You can see the ones that I've done and that I've completed. You can see the rewards. You can see that I can sort by reward or by contribution type, by the platform that I'm making the contribution on. If I click through, I can get even more information. I can see information about everybody who's contributed to a community, about all the contributions that they've made, and so on and so forth. Do you have any questions about this one before I keep going?
No, I love that. I love this, and I'm just going. When do I sign up?
So we decided to tell a crazy story about the work that we're doing. So we invented this group of NFT characters that we call the missionaries. And the missionaries are on a mission to thank every Web3 contribution with crypto and with an on-chain thank you note. And when 1 billion contributions are thanked, a holy Swiss vault gets unlocked, and the spoils are essentially shared amongst all of the contributors proportionate to the contributions that they've made. And each mission that they go on is really a partnership with another community. So the latest community that we partnered with that is actually going to be one of the first missions is Bankless DAO, which is I think it's one of the biggest DAOs.
Oh yeah, huge.
Out there. And so an example of a mission, which is the mission that we'll be doing with Bankless DAO, is let's thank 90% of all contributions that are made by Bankless members to Bankless DAO. And then once that gets achieved, there will be significant rewards. We'll move on to the next significant partnership, and we'll have a mission connected to it, and we'll share that step by step by step with the world. And the missionaries are telling, this is kind of funny, they're telling the story of all the missions that they're going on. I don't know if you remember, Jay, Viewmasters when you were growing up. Do you remember those things?
Oh my God.
Like the precursor to virtual reality.
Yeah, way. I mean, it was they were in the malls, I think.
They yeah. So we're telling the entire story on a ViewMaster. Um, so each mission, we'll get a ViewMaster experience, and people will be able to follow along that way. It should be a pretty fun thing.
That's
The
hilarious. That's hilarious. So the little click 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 click, and it just goes through the wheels.
Oh yeah, totally, totally.
Oh, I
And
love that.
every couple of weeks, another chapter will be unveiled. That chapter will exist on those ViewMasters.
That's so
So
cool.
we're partnering with right now fairly large NFT and DAO communities. It's fairly clear, I think, why a partnership makes sense for them because across the board, engagement is the name of the game in DAO and NFT communities. They need to figure out how to engage and honor their community members um, and hopefully inspire new community members to join. And at the end of the day, we're addressing that problem in a pretty big way. I don't need to go through this, but this is these are just some slides about what typical partnerships look like. I guess the last thing that's probably somewhat meaningful that I'll share is I come from kind of big enterprise partnerships space, and one of the things I learned is the best way to support a partnership and getting off the ground is to make it really, really, really easy. And so we really try to do that as well. So once a community agrees that they're working with us, all they have to do is define all the different contributions that they value to their communities, choose the reward type. They have to allow some bot and API read access, and then they promote to their members. That's it. And then they're getting going.
Wow.
You already know this. This is just some info about the leadership team. I think there's a thank you slide right here. So there
Yeah.
you go. That's a little bit about ThriveCoin.
Good. Well, now I get to tear into this because there's a lot here. So there's a number of protocols that exist today that make attempts to help community leaders like myself and like others to engage their members, and member engagement is one of the hardest things you can do. Like for anyone that thinks that building a community of even 100 people is easy, it's very hard. You have to create content, you have to have lots of things going on. So Daniel, you guys and your team, which are extremely accomplished, you've created a system not designed to really be a standalone, but designed to interconnect a number of other platforms. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I can say that we face is, I've got members on Discord, I've got members on Telegram, I've got members on Signal. I've got people doing things on Reddit. They're like we're all over the place. And so trying to interconnect all of these things is extremely hard. And I feel like that's exactly what you're trying to do is you're trying to give true community leaders a dashboard to drive these bodies of energy in the correct way. And that's what you have is you have successful communities of which the leaders can understand what the community needs and wants and then help facilitate moving that forward. But generally it's an invisible thing.
Yeah.
You've made it visible.
So most people don't get that. So when we look at the Web3 universe, there are so many tools, like endless amounts of tools. And the problem, we don't believe that the problem is another tool needs to be created. We believe that the problem is that there's not connective tissue that allows people to use those tools in an interoperable way that allows people to understand that allows leaders to understand how their members flow through those tools, that allows them to get data that supports them in making good decisions, that allows and supports members in being engaged with the community across those tools. And so ultimately, we're not trying to replicate, nor do we want to, Discord, which we think does a great job, or Discourse, which we think does a great job, or Snapshot, or GitHub, or Twitter. I mean, those are extraordinary tools. We're trying to support communities in engaging their community members on and across those tools and learning something from the experience.
Yeah, and that's really the biggest thing is that Like Discord is Discord. Discourse is discourse. Like there's are these platforms of which, although I have to tell you, Discord has been like a ghost town for a lot of communities lately, just because again, there's when the community leaders start to leave it, which is what happened after a few hacks and some security issues around Discord.
Right.
Like it starts to become a little bit like, the hesitation to not use it becomes a real thing.
Right.
And I think that's the point that you're really trying to make is you want to make this easy. It needs to be a process of which you can say, this is how I want my community to go in the direction. And members that are on board can clearly see the path of which here's how to engage, here's how to be a good gold star member. And those that are not interested weren't going to be interested in anyway. They're just stopping in to get, the free mentor or, just to add another, Discord to their server list because some people like to collect them. I have no idea.
Right.
But the core concept around that you can identify your most valuable members and drive and also see the data of where are they spending their time, where are they interested, and then create more content around that is an extremely hard thing. So it's amazing. Going into Bankless DAO, which is huge and massive, what DAOs have you played around with kind of early on that you've been able to kind of test some of these theses out?
So Bankless DAO is the first major DAO that we're launching with, and that's going to be happening in late September. We have two top 20, one top 3, but two top 20 DAOs that we're pretty deep in partnership conversations with, and they likely would be coming off after Bankless DAO. But we'll be launching essentially with Bankless DAO.
That's awesome. I mean, why not? So let's talk through the tech of this. So I saw MetaMask, so I'm assuming you've got some Ethereum and side chains. Where are you guys building?
So we're multi-chain. We are Ethereum and Polygon. The reality is that gas fees with Ethereum are inhibit a lot of movement, and so most of the interaction on ThriveCoin so far has been on Polygon.
Yeah, it's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. I mean, the merge is coming and it does nothing to solve gas fees, which is always my favorite misconception is that it's going to lower gas fees. It's just going to make them be able to charge more gas fees faster.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, when talking about thanking micro actions in communities, it's an even bigger problem, right? Because how do you thank micro actions in communities with an Ethereum-based token if every time a transaction happens, you're paying $10 or $15 in gas fees, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. And, so we believe we have some innovative ways to kind of get around it, but you can't fully get around it. It's, if you do, you're solving one of the biggest problems in crypto. The way to do it is to not unfortunately is to not transact on Ethereum. But
yeah. So kind of jumping through a few of the other things that you guys have been working on and everything else. What does scale look like for you guys? I mean, Bankless DAO is a huge and everywhere else one, but is it a 10,000 kind of users interacting on a daily basis, 100,000? Like, what does success look like for ThriveCoin?
So for us, the way that we plan on getting to scale is we'll be partnering with community after community after community after community. And, Bankless DAO has tens of thousands of users or members. And we think that communities with tens of thousands of members are the right kinds of communities to partner with. And, in terms of what does it look like, tens of thousands of members probably by the end of the year, hundreds of thousands of members as we move through 2023. And we'll see how crypto grows and flexes. I've brought 2 organizations to scale before this, and it's happened in different ways both times. And I believed that a lot of our strategies would get us there that didn't, and some of the ones that I didn't think would get us there did. So.
Yeah, and it's going to take time. I mean, there's no like mainstream adoption happening this year. Just the same as there's no 100,000 Bitcoin happening this year.
Maybe another way to frame that though is we definitely believe that there's a B2B angle, which is we believe that we can achieve scale through partnership, But we also think it's important to build a brand that people can touch and experience with themselves. And so, that's why the Missionaries NFT journey exists, because it's a way for people to interact with ThriveCoin unto itself. And, at the same time, the easiest step-by-step way to get to scale, in my experience, is through partnership.
No, that's absolutely true. So Daniel, you think a lot about community. You think a lot about Web3. What do you feel are some of the just, what does it take to make a successful community? Over the next, couple of years, because it does take time to build these things. And who have you seen that's in your mind, you feel like these are the right communities going in the right direction?
Okay. So I had like 7 thoughts go through my mind at the same time, but I'll take a step back, and I want to come at it from a couple different angles. So the first thing that I think is that community members need to feel rewarded and recognized, right? Our terminology for that is that they need to feel thanked. And it's really easy when markets are frothy for people to feel rewarded and recognized, because for the most part, they're making a lot of money across the board. But what happens when markets aren't frothy, right? How do we reward and recognize people? And from a holistic perspective, what that means is that we have to look at it from 2 perspectives. One is, what is extrinsically motivating for people, meaning what do they feel like they're getting, and the other is, what is intrinsically motivating for people? Why are they feeling really good about this experience? And, at the end of the day, you've got to answer those questions. People have to feel like they're getting something, whether it's crypto, whether it's an experience, whether it's an NFT, whether it's, something else. They have to feel honored extrinsically. And they also have to feel good about the experience, whether it's an on-chain thank you note, whether it's you giving them a hug, whether it's, the elation of winning a flag football game, or anything else. And, again, when everything is frothy, when you're stacking up win after win after win, it's easy. And oftentimes you don't have to think about it. People just feel good. Community becomes front and center when things aren't frothy, when it's hard to see the wins, when people are questioning why they care. And it's in those moments that we need to think, a lot about what it means to reward and recognize people, what it means to support people in feeling extrinsically and intrinsically motivated to stay in the game and to continue growing with you.
Yeah, I think that really brings to me the point of that I always think of is the money's going to come and go. The projects are going to, live and die. People's time is the one thing you can't ever give back. And if you can value people's time, just as much as they value their own time, that's what creates a community. That's what means that, you're going to have people say, I'm willing to give you something of which I can't replicate or I can't make more of. I have only so much time. And so the thought that you've got around the entire ThriveCoin, process that you've done is really to make sure that the community knows their time is valuable. The coin can have if somebody uses a community coin that has 0 intrinsic value, nothing other than magic internet points, it's sometimes just fine. Reddit's the number 5 social media platform or in the world, right. And they stack up points and they keep track of these things. I've got millions of fake internet points that nobody cares about, but you get a little badge next to your name for how many you have. You get access to, a special little chat room for other people that have more than 10 million votes. Sometimes it's not a monetary thing, that you just want to feel like your time was valuable.
Right. I remember talking with somebody who's had a significant amount of success in the NFT space. And I asked him a similar question to the question that you asked me. And his answer was, people are primarily motivated by monetary returns, secondarily motivated by scarcity, and third, they're motivated by being a part of community. And so, and we were talking first, at that time it was right almost at the inflection point right? At the inflection point, meaning I think it was March when he said this, right? Things were about to go south. And it was a really interesting conversation because, I don't know that that is an accurate reflection of my own motivations. But if you look at crypto, it definitely feels like an accurate reflection of what's going on in crypto. I mean, people, when things are going good and there's a lot of money to be made, the amount of noise in Web3 is insane. It's insane. And then you look at NFTs. What's the primary motivator with NFTs? It's scarcity, right? And so community, which he said was a far third. We don't. When I say we, I mean people in crypto haven't been thinking that much about building great community because they didn't have to, and now they have to in a fundamentally different way. And I think your point about Reddit is a good one. There's this question about like, what's our identity? How do we fit in? What group do we fit in well with? And I think that Facebook did a really good job helping, maybe less so today, but Facebook did a really good job helping people feel like they were a part of community, even when they were behind a desk and not actually in community. I think Reddit in a very different way did that too. So they did a great job, honing the community piece, and fake internet points weren't that fake because what they meant to people was you're a part of community.
Yeah. Well, the entire influencer has, it's an entire job classification in which people are making millions of dollars, in some cases a week, for fake internet, in exchange for fake internet points, because they're just, so followed. And I think it brings about a little bit of unifiers. One, to me, community is like, doesn't matter how great your project is. If you don't have a community behind it nowadays, you're just DOA. And I see this all the time. I mean, I just had a very heartbreaking conversation with a team that's been around for over a year. They built an amazing product. It worked. Everything was functional, and they made 2 errors. It's hard to fault them on those 2 errors. Number one, they built during the bull run, and they used the dev team that was available because there wasn't many. And so they built on Binance Smart Chain. and I'm not going to go off on BSC, other than the fact that there's a lot of people that won't touch it, like me, just because of religious exemptions. Like, I just don't want to be on another chain. Like, I'm so sorry. I get it. It's just the least, it's on the lowest end of the totem pole, of which I'm going to go set up yet another wallet and go interact with another chain and deal with all the nonsense. So there was that, because they, again, bull run issues. And the other is because everything was going up. They never built a community. And so all of a sudden, when the vacuum hit and the air rushed out of the room, they were left standing there with a bunch of people that didn't care one bit about their coin. They were holding it, they weren't using them for the project. They were just quite simply buying and selling and trading them, and made more money than the project, this entire project people made off of it, because they were sucking the liquidity out of the coin, whenever they wanted to. So it really showcases that you can, and I think that every project, has their coins, and I get it. But I think it showcases that it's okay to have a coin that has no intrinsic value, or no promise of intrinsic value, but it just helps solidify your long-term vision of the future and the people of which that are going to help you do it.
Yeah. I really believe that the only real differentiator in Web3 is community, because at the end of the day, all of the tech is going to be given away, and what makes you valuable and separates you from others is the viability of your community. If you have community, you'll probably be okay. If you don't have community, you better get community quickly so that you can probably be okay.
And I think that you're giving, to me, the metrics of which you're now allowing to be watched are things that VCs should be paying attention to. Number of Discord users is garbage and useless. Number of Twitter followers is as Elon is proving, is just a bunch of bots. So,
Right.
so what's the metrics of which you measure a community? And that has to be engagement. And you're giving a blockchain version. So I'm really excited. And yWhales is absolutely going to implement this, and we're going to test it. We're going to play with it. And we're going to help move everything forward with it. But for other people that are saying, hey, I want to do a project, and you've got your long list of roadmaps and everything else, really think about when you're building, you need to have a community. And a community can't just be a Discord server, because I got to tell you right now, there's vacuums of people that have had amazing Discord servers. I watched one that went from 120,000 users, and watching some of the off-chain metrics on it and talking to the community leader on there. I mean, he's lucky to have 1,000 people now. It's just a bunch of dead names of no one that's logged in. It's just constant. yWhales, we're very lucky. We've had good engagement, throughout so far this little bear market. But Daniel, I'm really excited for kind of to see where this evolves and to see where it goes, because I think that you're at the early stages of, again, that Web3 is about communities. That's the yWhales mission, vision, and values, is that we believe that community is the first and foremost important thing in any Web3 project.
Yeah, the quality of your community and the quality of their interaction. And, I think yWhales has done an extraordinary job having, one of the highest quality communities that could possibly exist, right? With quality interaction too. And
we got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, your continued question is, what does it mean to deepen and broaden? What does it mean to deepen and broaden? And as long as you continue to do that well, and I think you've done that well so far, you're going to be in a great place.
We're excited, and we're looking at projects like you guys, and we want to help you out. And we really, it's been amazing compared to the bull run, of which we've been doing this now for almost 2 years with yWhales. And to be honest, the pace and the content of which we are able to produce right now today is so far and away better. Because if you criticize a project, during the bull run, you're just wrong, because you can say this is garbage. There's nothing here. They have no code. They have no product. They have nothing, and they're going up 100%.
Right, and they're worth $100
week over week.
Right,
yeah,
and you're going, wait a second, what's going on? Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you produce no value, you produce nothing, and here you are, like, congratulations, you went from zero to, Olympus DAO is the perfect example. I mean, 0 to 3.3 billion in 7 months, and they had nothing in place to manage that amount of capital, nothing in place to be able to manage that influx of people, and it came crashing down about the same amount of speed. So, but that's it's so much fun. So, Daniel, my kind of last question leading into this before we get to the final section here is, where do you see kind of communities evolving to? Because, like I said, Discord, I think, is going to fall away. I think you're going to see a lot of bespoke, kind of project like yours come out and say, here's this package that is how to manage a community. Because right now we're stuck putting it together. We've got 20 different things that we're dealing with it. But where do you think that the tech concept is going? Is it a bunch of random things, or is it a big product like a Facebook that's going to be built?
Interesting. This may not be directionally where you were wanting this to go, but I guess what comes up for me is that Web3 community fundamentally is different from Web2 community, because it's at least theoretically, it's not owned by anybody, right? Like if you're in community on Facebook, Facebook owns and is in fact monetizing your eyeballs.
100%.
Right? On the other hand, if you're in community in any of a number of DAOs or NFT communities, which are quickly becoming DAOs as well, your eyeballs aren't owned by anyone. You're in fact co-owning the experience that you're creating. And so whereas Web2 communities were walled gardens, and they were very intentionally walled gardens because it was entirely in Facebook's business roadmap and business strategy to do everything that they possibly could to keep you in Facebook. The trajectory with Web3 communities is totally different, which is, hopefully where we're going is, people are building infrastructure that allows community members to close their eyes and ask big questions like, who am I? What do I care about? How do I want to contribute? Do I feel like I'm getting value from this community? Do I feel like I'm giving value to this community? What's the relationship between this community and that other community over there? And so, where I hope Web3 is going is it's giving people the opportunity to understand themselves in community outside of the forces of the Facebooks and the Twitters and so on and so forth of the world that are doing everything they possibly can to keep you there. And and that potentially creates much more authentic, much more engaged, much more, I believe, valuable community. The rules are just a little bit different, right? If you want to create a valuable community, you can't wall them in Web3. Ultimately, you're probably not going to be successful. If you want to create a valuable community, you actually have to create roads to as many other communities as possible. Because just as you give others the opportunity to explore other places, that means that all those other places have the opportunity to explore your place as well.
You nailed that question because it was kind of a loaded one of nobody wants to see another Facebook. No one wants to see another walled garden. The entire promise and premise of Web3 is that you can have hundreds, if not thousands of dApps and different, kind of interconnecting smart contracts, right, and Web2 and Web3 things interacting to make a single community, that you can integrate ThriveCoin in with 5 other chat servers. And you just, whatever people want to be is where you are. And the data is freely flowing on the blockchain is the way it should be. So you're not stuck in Zapier API hell, trying to deal with, if anyone's ever been dealt with Zapier on a large scale, I mean, it doesn't scale well. It scales as good as you can possibly imagine, but it's not the blockchain. It's not able to just grab whatever it needs. And so, Daniel, I love that. I love that answer, which is absolutely the premise of Web3 is that it is going to be open, it is going to be free flowing, it is going to be collaborative.
Has to.
Love it. All right. Yeah. Final section, alpha drop. You got anything cool that we should be kind of looking at? I know there's not a ton of amazing projects that are shooting to the moon, especially today. But any kind of teams that you think are projects that do deserve some recognition, or just some overall thoughts about the way people should be looking at the market, especially from someone who's been around since 2013 and you've seen your shares of bears, bulls, and winters.
Yeah, I mean, first, I guess I'll start with an overall thought, which is we all knew a crypto winter was coming, right? It was a long bull, and so the question wasn't whether or not another crypto winter would be coming. The question was just when, and for some it came sooner, and for others it came later, but it's here. And one of the things that I've seen a couple times is when crypto winters happen, that's when real innovation happens. That's when real innovation happens. It's also when, if you're building a community, you get to build without noise, right? There's been so much noise in crypto for so long, and a lot of that noise has died down. So if you want to build and execute and create value, there's never been a better time. Now, you have to be more careful about how you spend money and about your treasury, but maybe you should have been anyway. Right. And a bull will come back, but you can also understand if it's your first bear in crypto, you can also understand that within a context. All it is a bull market. And there's great things, when that happens too, because it's always nice to, have essentially money practically be created in error. But you won't get moments like this where real innovation is possible without crazy noise. And, the moment's here, so we have the opportunity to use it. That's my first general thought. In terms of organizations to look at, I mean, DAOs are still doing amazing things. Bankless DAO, their vision is that they want to bank the bankless. I mean, that is like aligned with the original vision of crypto. And you've got tens of thousands of people who are devoting all kinds of time to seeing that vision through, right? If you're looking at at the NFT world. I mean, obviously, uh, Horizon Labs, who I know and have been doing some work with, they are really on the forefront and really understanding what's going on, and are continuing to have some success, even in a market that isn't so successful. And they're continuing to be interesting projects. Like Goblins. I don't know if you know Goblin Town, if you've checked that out, but
No, what is it?
it's an NFT project that was launched a couple months ago that went from nothing to being worth tens of millions of dollars, even in the midst of a significant bear market. Because, yeah, I believe anyway, my take on it is that they had a really interesting social commentary. They said, hey, all of these other NFT projects are being backed by these significant companies. We're going to call bullshit on that and, just do everything in a way that appears to be kind of by, I don't even know, like that appears to be.
It seems like these guys are a little Doge 2.0 here.
Without reason, totally.
Yeah.
And there was a Twitter Spaces a couple, maybe it was about a month ago, where Goblin Town came out of nowhere, and was extremely valuable. And people are going, "What the hell is this thing?" And so the creators get on, and what's believed is that was that these creators would convey their philosophy, and instead they made goblin noises for 3 hours. So anyway, there's all kinds of interesting stuff. There's all kinds of experimentation that continues to go on, and we'll see where it goes.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it's a good one. I think it just still showcases your item number 4, which I did remember. Fun. It's got to be fun. There is a gazillion projects of which that I have seen that have a much better valid theses than this, that have put out amazing artwork, amazing NFT projects, and they are 1/100th as successful as these guys are today, right, moving 50,000 ETH through their contract.
It's crazy. It's totally crazy. And you're exactly right. What did they get right? They were fun, and they were a little bit of social commentary on this moment in time. And it's amazing how far fun can take you sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's fabulous. yWhales, I really, as always, appreciate and love your time. This is Daniel Jacobs with ThriveCoin. Daniel, what's the best way for, again, for people that want to know more about you guys, what you're doing, or for community leaders that want to engage ThriveCoin? Where's the best place to find you?
You can write to me at daniel@thrivecoin.com. You can visit us at thrivecoin.com. Or if you want to check out the Missionaries Journey, it's missionariesnft.com.
Awesome. All right. yWhalers, Daniel, we'll see you guys next time. Daniel, don't go anywhere, and we'll catch you guys here, hopefully on the other side of 20,000. Heading back up within the next few hours. We'll hope. Not going to count on it. But all right, be good.
Thanks.